What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. And in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my first impression and the stat speculation of these new beast units that we're going to be getting in like 1 day or 2 days. I think it's on 20, yeah, it's on 20. So the first unit we have got is Keaton. He's a red beast infantry unit. We didn't really have any kind of red beast unit, so he's kind of a unique one. And I really like his artwork actually, but they have definitely changed his voice actor, because I remember Keaton's voice actor also did Asugi in Fates and also Gaius in Awakening, and I really liked his voice acting, but they have replaced him. Being a red beast is good and also bad in the sense that there's a lot of competition among red infantry, and good in the sense that the green pool is quite stacked in terms of threats, so having that red color against them is going to be really helpful if you do manage to pull them. And we have got Keaton with his Wolfskin Fang. Now this is the thing I'm seeing on this banner. All of these units except for Selkie have got 4 skills. So this might mean that they might be demoting more than 1 unit on this banner. Keaton is definitely not going to be one of them because he's got Special Spiral. That's actually a really deadly skill for any kind of Ether Raid's defense, and can make a lot of the in-game content like a joke on someone like Velouria or Luria. And they value Valor skills a lot because we saw that they didn't demote someone like Lean and they demoted Ares instead. So he's got Wolfskin Fang and this gives him -5 speed, so it's a brave weapon, and it does let him attack twice in the player phase and also in the enemy phase. So it's kind of like Sword Reinhardt's Master Sword in a way, but better in a way because infantry beast units do get +10 damage on their special triggers if they are transformed. And he has got 11 might weapon essentially after transforming, and without transformation it has got a pathetic 9 might. But if he transforms, then it becomes a standard legendary brave weapon like Sword Reinhardt's weapon and also Amity. And this weapon is absolutely amazing in terms of offense and goes really well with Special Spiral, Vantage, and a lot of things because it can help him double in the enemy phase. And because of this weapon, he's likely going to be having pretty bad speed, I think. And he has got Draconic Aura, but unless he's got a really high attack stat, it's not going to be all that good. And something like Bonfire might be much better because Wolves and Wolfskins were pretty bulky in Fates. He's got Special Spiral, and after 11, he's the second unit with this skill. This is a very coveted skill, and this is an infantry and armor only skill. So it does have a lot of applications, and as I said, it's absolutely amazing for Ether Raid's defense. You could have this on Ophelia, of course, so that she can nuke multiple units. But even without that, Ophelia is still really great in Ether Raid's defense. But for in-game content, it's really strong, and you can also have like infinite AoE specials with this Special Spiral build. And Legendary Ike uses this really well with Warding Breath, the Thanos Ike build basically. And in this trailer, he has got 45 HP, and he's going to be transforming here. So he was not transformed before, so he's not going to be getting the +10 special damage, and also not the +2 attack. So this is the stat spread I'm expecting on Keaton. Now, as I said, Wolfskins were known to be pretty powerful and also having good defense. They had bad resistance, so I expect Keaton to have garbage resistance. And as I said, he's going to be having really bad speed most likely. And I expect him to have like 40 base attack, somewhere around that if you calculate with the Draconic Aura damage. It can be off at times actually. I've noticed that from my stat speculation with the trailers and when the actual unit comes out, because many times I think they have changed the stat spreads of the units from the trailers to the actual game. For example, like Legendary Ryoma, I think. So this is the stat spread I'm expecting. Good defense. He already has high HP at 45, but his weapon cannot be refined, so that's the thing. That's the most amount of HP he can have without any sort of boost, and he's going to be having pretty bad resistance and speed, so he's easy to pick off by any kind of blue unit. Pretty much going to be like an infantry version of Sword Reinhardt, but he cannot really like get those emblem buffs all that easily because Hone Beast is on Leon, not as easily available like Hone Cavalry, and also he doesn't have the movement of Reinhardt. So Keaton is going to be a really good unit, I think, because of his weapon. The vote out trigger, the vote out damage which he gets from being a beast infantry unit is absolutely amazing with this kind of weapon. And Vantage, if it becomes a seal, then he's going to be a fantastic user of that. But still, you have to consider if you want to use Special Spiral for more player phase like matchups, or you want to use Vantage for doing more things in the enemy phase with Keaton. So that's Keaton, and that's my expectation out of him. definitely gonna be a solid unit, I feel like. Alright, next one we have got Velouria, daughter of Keaton. So she is a colorless infantry beast unit. We also didn't have that. Leon was a flying colorless beast unit, and being a dancer, she had that BST penalty, but Velouria doesn't really have anything like that. And Velouria, I must say, like, has the most underwhelming kit, because if you take out the beast infantry damage, the +10 damage which you get after transformation, her weapon is essentially a support weapon with a speed refine, I guess, but it's a really good support weapon. And there's a high chance that Velouria might get demoted, because they have demoted Raisin before, so they can't demote those beast units, of course. And Raisin actually have Fortify Beast, and she's got Ward Beast, and Close Defense isn't really all that coveted, I guess, anymore. Joshua is present with that in the Grail shop. And there's just so many enemy phase guilds for Slaughter now, so I guess they wouldn't really be hurting themselves by demoting Velouria, because it seems like she's gonna get demoted. I have a strong feeling about this. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, because there's a high chance of her demotion. So her weapon gives her +3 speed, which is gonna be nice. So she's probably not gonna be like her father and be a complete snail. She's definitely gonna be fast. So at start of turn 1, it gives her -2 special cooldown, and also to the partner of Velouria, the support partner, if you have any. So you definitely want to support any kind of unit with her so that they can get this benefit, preferably some kind of nuke that can make use of their special really well. This can be really potent in ether raids, because you could just have any kind of support unit with Velouria and make her like a smite bot. And if that Gale Force unit has got a slaying weapon, then they already have Gale Force at 4 cooldown, and this makes it at 2. So if they run Heavy Blade, they can still trigger their special, their Gale Force, if they just hit the opponent once. And that's actually really good. And you can also use this to set up Special Spiral. And this is only gonna be for the player, because keep in mind that stuff like Summoner support, Ally support, this doesn't work when you face a defense team in Arena or in Ether Raids. So do not worry about facing some kind of unit who can abuse their specials, and they have got Velouria as their teammate. So that can just not happen. This is only something which the player can control and have, because this is the player-sided buffs like Summoner support and Ally support. So it's only going to be useful for the player, and it's only specifically available for one unit on Velouria's team. So it kind of restricts that in a way. So you have to use that support unit with Velouria all the time to get the max amount of utility out of this weapon. And that's the thing which makes it pretty powerful if you use it specifically, and also underwhelming if you like to use different units, because it does take away quite a bit of flexibility. And she does have the standard transformation condition, which all of the beast units have, that they just do not need to be near a human. They can be near other subhumans, and they will transform, of course. And she gets +2 attack and +10 special damage, pretty standard stuff. She's got Luna, close defense, ward beast, a rather unimpressive base kit, I guess, but I'm expecting her to be a pretty good unit because she's really popular. One of the most popular Gen 2 kids from Fates. She actually has the same voice actor as Ophelia, and funnily enough, she's actually a fantastic teammate of Ophelia because she can help her set up Special Spiral, and also just like her special in general. So she's gonna be triggering Luna. She does like 8 extra damage to this Sword Flyer, which means that this guy has got like 16 defense. So Velouria at this point has got 49 attack, and if you just subtract the might of the weapon, then she ends up at 35 base attack. So this is the stat spread I'm expecting for Velouria, having 35 base attack, as I said, and having 34 base speed. I could be wrong, she could have lower base speed, I think. Yeah, now that I think about it, she might have lower speed than 34. Probably like 31, I think. And then she will end up at 34 with her weapon. And 30 base defense and 24 resistance. Makes good use out of that close defense and her decent 40 HP. But she's probably going to be having to have her skill set fully overhauled, in my opinion, because I think she's going to be powerful, like stat-wise, because of the fact that how popular she is. So yeah, that's the expectation out of Velouria. And we have got Kitsunes now. Kaden first. And if you notice, there are actually cavalry units. Yep. They are cavalry units. This is a green cavalry beast This is a really unique one because no one was expecting that, but realistically this was the only way of getting the cavalry beast units because they run on 4 legs, and it does make sense. But the thing is that they cannot enter forest, and if you remember the conquest chapter where you face Kaden, like it's all based on forest, so it's kind of funny in that way. So he has got green color, and that's a good thing because we don't really have a lot of green cavaliers, and there's also a strong chance of him getting demoted because he's got speed rest link. That's definitely one of the, I think, weaker link skills in my opinion. And he has got goat beast, pivot, and his weapon isn't really anything extremely powerful. It's more of a support weapon, so it gives him +3 defense, which I don't know why they are doing this because Kitsunes are known to have like lower defense and higher resistance, and really high speed, of course. To simplify the description of this weapon, it's basically the reverse version of Erika Sieglin Refine, because Erika like takes those buffs from her allies, and that works out really well for her because of her hone attack built into her weapon. For Kaden, this means that you want to use him with buff bots who can increase his stats, and then he can return that back. It's actually a really clever reference to the habit of Kaden. He never keeps anyone's favors, and he always returns those favors. If you played Fates, you would remember that, I guess, from his supports. So yeah, that's a pretty good reference, and that can be really nice with support units, but that's basically what it does. So you want to run skills like link skills, of course, on him, and also wave skills so that he can buff himself up and give those buffs to the allies, and the buffs he will give to his allies within 2 spaces will be spur and drive buffs, which means that it's only going to be applicable during the combat for those allies, so they can easily stack those up with any kind of other visible buffs from any other ally or even from Kaden himself. So this makes him a really good teammate with anyone like Erika or Legendary Marth, and also with someone like Brave Veronica because of her Helos Galf, and also with Soth because of his Pesh Cats. So yeah, this is a pretty good weapon, just reverse of Erika Sieglin Refine, as I said. And after transformation, he gets +2 attack, and if he initiates the combat, then he inflicts -4 defense and -4 attack debuff on the foe during the combat, which means that this can stack up with other visible debuffs, kinda like how it functions with Tharja's Hex Tome, if you remember that, just from a while back, like a few weeks back. And the foe cannot make a follow-up attack, so this only works in the player phase, which is good for a horse unit like him. And because of the low BST they have got, they're probably not going to be having a lot of defense because, as I said, Kitsunes usually have like lower defense and higher resistance. So this follow-up negation is a pretty fantastic thing that he has got in his preferred weapon. This can work out in Ether Raids where you could just have him on your defense team and pair up a lot of Wings of Mercy units. So if he's able to initiate combat against any other enemy's units, and if he's able to make it out alive, then he's definitely going to be falling into the Wings of Mercy range a lot of the times, and then you could just have the Wings of Mercy cheese. So that can be done, of course, with horse units, standard stuff for Ether Raids, and this makes him a really powerful player phase unit because even if you initiate combat against any kind of Vengeful Fighter or Quick Riposte unit, you're not going to be able to take any sort of counter attack, especially because of the fact that he's probably going to be really fast, unlike someone like Tibarn who has got sturdy impact, and it does work similarly, but Tibarn doesn't really have the highest speed. But Kaden, on the other hand, is probably going to be having pretty good speed, and Kitsunes are known to be fast, so I mean, that's why I'm saying that. So Cavalry beast units get the most out of their transformation because of the -4 attack debuff, and also the defense debuff, and the follow-up negation. That's just huge for any kind of player phase unit. And having that -4 attack debuff during the combat is also amazing for survival and for the Wings of Mercy cheese, as I said before, for Ether Raids. So you definitely want to make sure that these kinds of units can transform if you want to make the most out of them with the follow-up negation and also the debuff. And he has got pivot, a pretty underwhelming skill, I guess, on a horse unit. Could have worked out with reposition, speed, rest, link. As I said, it's definitely one of the weaker skills. Rest support is nice, I guess, for him, but he's already going to be having high resistance. Speed is something which he definitely needs, I guess, to double in the player phase, but yeah, it's not really all that good. Goat Beasts is going to be also pretty nice, especially with someone like Nyla. So that's Kaden, and he's also looking like a candidate who can get demoted because he's got a support weapon. Sure, it's really nice for player phase, but he does have speed rest link, which can be demoted, I guess, because we did get attack rest link on Valentine Titania. So I'm definitely expecting either Kaden or Velouria to get demoted, or in the best case scenario, like 2 of them, because Why would you give these units like 4 skills when you can easily have another slot A skill or maybe some kind of special? It just doesn't make sense, because you could definitely have some kind of premium skill on that extra slot. Just give them some kind of extra premium skill. Why just leave them with 4 skills? Because after such a long time, this is the first time they've released so many units with like 4 skills on a banner. Like 3 of these units have got only 4 skills. That's old school. So yeah, this is the stat spread I'm expecting on Kaden. He doesn't really proc any kind of special. He does walk and run on 4 legs, so it makes sense for Cavalry Beast, I guess. But still, it can definitely catch people off guard because they just look like infantry units at first. So he does have 38 HP. I'm expecting him to have low attack because Kitsunes did have pretty low attack. Kaden did have pretty low attack. Good speed at 35 and having 19 defense and having 35 resistance because Kitsunes do have that. And this is assuming that they transfer them kind of similarly to how they function in Fates. But that's not always guaranteed. But still, this is my expectation. I actually really like his art. His art is definitely my favorite out of like these 4 units. Okay, so the final unit, the big prize of this banner is going to be Selkie. She destroyed Choose Your Legends for like 2 years, I think. She was really high in Choose Your Legends. I really do not get why, because she has a pretty linear personality. I guess she's cute, that's probably why. And she doesn't really play a major role in story. Their beast units, Velouria and Selkie, were really high in Choose Your Legends. She also had her voice actress changed. This is a new voice actress. I couldn't really find anything about them when I searched them. I guess they are a new voice actress or something. I really have no idea. Please inform me if I'm ignorant. I'm sorry if I'm ignorant, but I just couldn't really find anything. So Selkie, being a Kitsune, is also a Cavalry Beast, but she is blue color. I would argue that Kaden's color is much better in my opinion. But Selkie has got a much better preferred weapon. Yeah, she's got a much better preferred weapon. So here is this research paper, thesis, I don't know, what do you want to call this? Can they not just increase the size of the box and actually keep the font size consistent so that it's easy to read? And I do not have to call Scott Lang to borrow his Ant-Man suit to read this. Like, come on, man, it's so easy. Just increase the size of the box and just keep the font size consistent. I don't know what's hard about this. Maybe have like the other skills be small because we already know what they do, like attack speed bond, iceberg. I don't think we need to be told what they do for the millionth time. I mean, I do understand because a lot of new players might watch this, but still, I mean, you're not giving them any better options of reading this weapon's description. First of all, this weapon gives her +3 resistance, which is absolutely fantastic with how her weapon functions. And at start of combat against any kind of melee range unit, she's gonna be comparing the visible resistance of herself with the enemy. And as I said, it's visible resistance, not the in-combat resistance that she might get. So you definitely want to make use of even res wave, res tactic, or any kind of blessing that can increase her resistance in general. And if she's got more visible resistance than the melee range enemy, then she's going to be getting the in-combat bonus to all of her stats except for HP. And that depends on 50% of the difference between the resistance of her and the enemy. For example, if she's got 6 more resistance than the enemy, then she's going to be getting +3 to all of her stats during the combat, of course. And if she's got like 10 more resistance than the enemy, then she's going to be getting +5 during the combat to all of her stats. And at max, if she's got 16 more resistance than the enemy, then she's going to be getting +8 to all of her stats during the combat, and it caps at +8, so that's the maximum. So hopefully those examples made sense, and this is only applicable towards the melee range enemies. It doesn't really work against range enemies, so you have to keep that in mind. And you definitely want to have more resistance with Selkie basically to use this weapon. Use something like even res wave with her base kit, have res ploy, of course, that can also be done. Chill resistance, of course, is also a really good way. But in higher tiers of arena, a lot of the armor units have got fantastic mixed bulk, so their Selkie could have trouble. And just like Kaden, she gets the same advantage out of transformation, which is -4 attack and defense debuff during the combat on the enemy in the player phase. And also she can prevent the follow-up attack, which is going to be really good. And she's got iceberg as her special, makes sense, she's going to be having really good resistance. She's got attack speed bond, which is actually not all that good on a cavalry unit, especially if you run her on a non-beast emblem team or just with like one beast unit. Then she will have to be away from her allies to get this buff. And using these kinds of bond skills in the player phase is definitely hard because sometimes you might have to waste a turn of your unit to position them correctly so that this unit can actually get the attack speed bond buff. So not really the best Luria skill, and Fury is definitely going to be much better for her because it increases her resistance, which is really important for her weapon and can work like if she's away from her allies, of course. She's got a new slot B skill, and I guess these are the new lines of skills that we're going to be getting, and they work on the resistance stat of the unit. So it's kind of like ploy skills, but it's in slot B and they have got a global range and a different condition. So at start of turn, if the unit has got 3 more resistance than the foe, and if that foe is adjacent to another foe, then it inflicts -7 attack on that foe through its next actions. So it kind of works similarly to a Versus Knight, where it requires you to be close to another ally for this debuff to happen. And you definitely want to run this kind of skill on your cheerleaders in arena because these arena units are going to be staying together because of the rally skills they usually carry in the higher tiers of arena. And if you have got someone like Felicia, I guess, as your colorless infantry dual cheerleader, then this is fantastic on them. This also works out really well on Eliwood if you really think about it, because he has got the resistance to make use of this, and he can also run Heavy Blade. So yeah, that's going to be really helpful. And this kind of attack debuff is universally useful to all kinds of units. For offensive units, if they want to proc Heavy Blade, for enemy phase units to reduce the damage they take, it's going to be useful to everyone. And this is also going to be a nuisance in Ether raids. Like if you face those stall teams in Ether raids, those armor stall teams, then they've got a new tool because they could have some kind of really res heavy armor unit run the skill, and then they will just force you to be away from your own units if you do not want to get hit with the -7 attack. So it's a really nice utility options which a lot of the high resistance units have gained. And then finally she's got even res wave as her slot C skill, which is definitely nice with her weapon. And she's going to be attacking this this blue bow now. She's going to be triggering her iceberg, and she does 40 damage, which is 22 points of additional damage from iceberg, which means that she's got 44 resistance during this combat. Now she does have the even res wave skill, so that's gonna be added into her iceberg, and her weapon also gives her +3 resistance. So this means that she has got 38 resistance with her weapon equipped, 44 resistance with even res wave, and 35 resistance at base if you just subtract everything. So really high resistance, which can make her use the weapons effect that she's got pretty consistently. And I expect her to have like 32 base attack. As I said, I do not really expect high attack on these Kitsunes, and 37 base speed because they're really fast, and just a much better, I guess, min-max stat line compared to Kaden, which does make sense. He's just much better than Kaden in Fates, and she's a fantastic avoid tank because you could pass like the speed modifier from a mother like Setsuna and make her into a dodge tank. Yeah, I enjoy using Selkie a lot in the Wi-Fi battles, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what kind of stat spread she gets. We do know the resistance out of her iceberg damage and her HP, of course, so she's going to be a really powerful player phase unit. And we've got this new chapter finally. You can see Pain in the background, and she's going to be a Grand Tour battle unit, which is kind of strange because you don't really fight her as an enemy in Awakening, but I guess she doesn't really like humans all that much, so it does make sense. She's going to be having her Grand Tour battle on 24th, which is Sunday, so that's when you're going to be able to get Pain. We don't really know her movement type. She might be a cavalry unit like the Kitsunes, or she just might be an infantry unit. In that case, I mean, it's not going to be all that good because we already have Nyla, but still, it's a free-to-play option that people have got. We already got Naysala as a Blue Beast unit, so I'm hoping that she might be a cavalry Blue Beast unit. I really want her to be cavalry unit. I mean, she does run on 4 legs, so that checks the condition, but then again, Nyla also runs on 4 legs when transformed, so I don't know. It's definitely up to how they want to handle Pain. She's got a 4-turn cooldown special that's probably going to be an AoE special. It's kind of similar to how Naysala got an AoE special. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Really excited for Pain actually. Hopefully she's a cavalry beast unit. So yeah, let me know in the comments how you feel about my stat speculations. Do you agree or disagree with them? And what are your thoughts on this banner? And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like. And if you haven't already, then make sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. And be sure to hit that notification bell, please, so that you can get the updates for my videos, because it seems like YouTube has a brave weapon equipped similar to Keaton. So yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.